The next type of index that we are going to see is the index organized table. An index organized table is nothing but a table which is stored in the form of a B-tree structure. So this means that the index and the table is present in the same structure and no separate storage space is needed to store the table data and to store. We'll talk about more about the index organized table in the forthcoming slides as well, along with the example. But before that, we'll see what are the features of the index organized table. So basically what happens in a normal relational table is that the data is stored in any order. It is not sorted as well. But what happens in index organized table is that the data is stored in the form of a B-tree index structure and it is sorted based on the primary key order. And it is also sorted as well. So this enables the index organized table to retrieve the data much faster than a B-tree index. So the index organized table has the primary key data and some non-key column data as well. Non-key column data means any other columns which are not part of the primary key. Now primary key can be a single column or a combination of multiple columns. So in an index organized table, primary key data and the non-column key data, both of them, which ultimately means that the entire column of the table is stored in the form of a B-tree index. So like I said earlier, since the index and the table are in the same storage segment, less storage space is needed while creating an index organized table. The one of the constraint of the index organized table is that it should have a primary key. If there is no primary key, you won't be able to create an index organized table. Also, like I mentioned earlier, since all the columns of the row are part of the index, access via the primary key is much faster than the B-tree index. So this is the fastest known index, which is nothing but your index organized table. Now when you create an index organized table, these are the three criteria which has to be taken into account while creating an index organized table. So first criteria is that you have to specify a primary key. Without a primary key, you won't be able to create an index organized table. Second one is to use the clause organization index. So this will automatically create an index organized table. So this is nothing but basically a keyword. So the next parameter is the including column, which will tell what all non-key columns can be stored along with the key columns. Now key columns is nothing but a set of columns which will be most frequently accessed, and you can save such key columns in one separate table space. And the other non-key columns can also be stored in the same table space and in the other table space as well, so that the IO operations are much faster. Now we'll talk about the index organized table with examples in the next slide. So let's see the example of an index organized table. But before that, let me help you to understand how does the Oracle actually executes a query when two or more than two tables are involved. So this is a basic select statement. Select e.employee.id from employees E and join with the departments table D, where e.department.id is equal to d.department.id and d.department.id is equal to 50. Now in order to execute this query, Oracle will start with the where part of the clause so that less and less number of rows are retrieved. Now if Oracle starts with this join condition, that is e.department is equal to d.department.id, then in this case Oracle has to first scan all the department IDs from the departments table, all the department ID from the employees table, and then do a joined operation between them. And later, whichever row is having d.department.id is equal to 50, only those rows will be qualified. So this is a lengthy operation. Instead of this, first Oracle can actually do d.department.id is equal to 50, or basically access the departments table for the department ID is equal to 50, and since department ID is a primary key, only one row will be retrieved. This one row from the departments table will join with the department ID of the employees table, and whichever rows are qualified, that will be retrieved. So this is the shortest way to get this query executed. So the summary for this select statement execution is that we should always start with such a column in the where part of the clause which has less number of distinct values, and then go with the join operation. Now in this case, if I don't have an index organized table, how does the Oracle execute this query? When I execute this query, this is the execution plan which is going to get generated. We'll see about how to read and interpret this execution plan in the forthcoming slides. But to understand it now, second is the first operation which is going to execute first. Second operation is nothing but performing an index Unix scan using the department ID underscore pk and accessing the departments table for the department ID is equal to 50. That means Oracle actually executed this part of the clause. So Oracle now has d.department ID is equal to 50 row. Then the second operation which is going to be performed is the fourth operation. Now fourth operation is nothing but accessing the employees table for the department ID is equal to 50, which means that it is actually doing a join operation. So once this join operation is done, third operation is the one which is going to execute later. So third operation is nothing but table access by index row ID for the employees table. Now what do you mean by table access by index row ID is that Oracle is able to access the department ID from the employees table, but the index has only information about the department ID. And since in the select part of the statement, employees table is also looking for the employee ID, this table access by index row ID will fetch all the employee IDs as part of the join operation. So this is the reason why there is an extra scan for the employees table for all the employee IDs matching this join condition. So this is happening because employees table and the departments table is a normal relational table and these are not an indexed organized table. If this had been an index organized table, all the columns of the employees table would have been automatically indexed. So there is no separate scan needed to access the employees table, and this third operation will not be needed. So this is the improvisation of the previous example in which I have created an index organized table on the employees table, and looking at the syntax, employee ID is made as a constraint primary key. Then I have included first name column, department ID column. Organization index means this table employees underscore IoT is automatically created as an index organized table. And I have also included department ID in the overflow part. So department ID in the overflow part means department ID will be stored in a separate table space or in a overflow table space rather than with the primary key. Now since I already have the index organized table created, and if I execute the same query which I executed previously, but in this case the employees table is nothing but index organized employees table. And if you see the change in the execution plan, second is the first operation which is going to execute. So second operation is exactly d.department ID is equal to 50. And then the third operation is going to execute, which is nothing but accessing e.department ID is equal to 50. That is nothing but the join condition. Now since this index primary key underscore employee underscore ID has the information of the department ID as well as the employees ID, separate table access by index row ID for the employees table is not needed. So there is an elimination of one extra scan. If you compare this execution plan, there are 45 rows of the employees table which are scanned for 3 different operations. Compared with the previous example, you can see there are 4 separate times the employees table is scanned to retrieve the required information. So index organized table has helped us to eliminate this unnecessary scan of 45 employees for the employee ID column. This was only possible because an index organized table is created on the employees table which already has all the information of the respective employee ID and the department ID for a specific row. Now it might have occurred to you that since index organized table is one of the fastest way to access a data, why are we not using the index organized table on a major scale? Since all the columns of the index organized table is already a part of an index, the data access is much faster. But still, there are some disadvantages which we are going to cover now. So one of the primary disadvantage of an index organized table is that it should have a primary key with a unique value. If there is no primary key, you cannot create an index organized table. In an index organized table, you cannot create any new indexes. You cannot partition an index organized table. Also, an index organized table cannot be part of any cluster. One of the major disadvantages of the index organized table is that the data in the row must be very small. Large amount of data in the row will require more IO operations to be retrieved. This means that the data size in a row should be very small. You cannot store a very high or very large amount of data in a specific row. Also, you cannot have a long data type column in the index organized table. So because of these all disadvantages, we may not be using an index organized table on a major scale, but it definitely has its own advantages in terms of retrieving the data much faster. There are definitely some thumb rules which can tell you whether to create an index organized table is a better option or to create a normal table along with a B-tree index is the best option. So there is always a trade-off with respect to these advantages in terms of creating an index organized table or creating a normal table.